your boy, John Torado. And of course, my little brother, my little co host, Matthew Torado. We're here back with We Can Be Heroes, the podcast that you all love that has to do with everything Marvel, everything DC, and everything Star Wars. Speaking of Star Wars, we're going to be getting into a little bit of Star Wars today. We haven't a little bit. I purposely didn't for a couple reasons, but we are back with it, baby. Matthew, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there. Allergies are acting up a bit, but hopefully I can sit
Ah,
this one do have some conversation about Marvel, specifically Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and for once, get a chance to talk about Star Wars, everything from Bad Batch to I know you watched Star Wars Visions. I didn't get a chance opportunity to talk about that or to even watch it. So I'm looking forward to that. So it's another great day to discuss everything we're passionate about.
it's a great day to have a great day. Look, I first of all appreciate you fighting through your consistent allergies here to be on the pod. We want to get back and get an episode out. So I know last time when we did record, I did talk to you guys about potential schedules and things like that. I'm still working that out. I will have some semblance of a consistent schedule as far as what's coming. When will be a little inconsistent as always. But the content will be there, baby. So, you know, I wanted to get into the finale of What If and what the implications have for the MCU as far as Marvel. We're gonna wait for that. So our next episode after this will be an episode with our Matthew and I's brother Angel, and two other OTS on the sidelines members, Victor and Bruce. So we're gonna bring them on. They're very very big on Marvel and the comics, and they're super knowledgeable as to what's to come, what's already happened, and it'll be great to have different minds in there to kind of bounce some ideas off of too. So stay tuned for that. That episode's gonna be dope. I'm ready for it. I can't wait. So first, I'm ready to get right into this thing, baby. Look, Venom. So far, Venom has blown the waters of the box office as far as post COVID box office sales. Why, Matt? Like, why is it? I mean, I'm happy. I get so. Matt and I talked about last episode. Movies just need to be successful so we can continue to get the content we want, right? Like, we just need all movies to do well so there's no delays. Like, Venom was moved up and still killed it in box office sales, which was surprising because our when we went to watch it, our theater wasn't fully packed. Like, I mean, I would say what, 60% packed. Like, it wasn't like a full capacity, and
Yeah,
we went
certainly not.
opening night. Right, the Thursday night that it came out is when we went. So, I mean, granted, it was a later game, or I'm sorry, later movie, but why is it doing so well? You think everybody's just kind of on the same mindset as us? Like, just let's just do it.
Partly, but I just for some reason there's just a huge appetite for movies like Venom, these oddly self-aware action comedy movies that sort of take you out of the real world. I mean, Venom for whatever reason became a cult classic and is still praised amongst his fan base. So naturally, have the audience there are obviously interested in heading to the theaters. Excuse me, but I think it's very odd. It's very odd. Venom of all movies is breaking records in comparison to. I mean, Shang-Chi obviously broke his own individual records, but
Right, right.
I mean, $90 million domestic box office opening is not something to ignore. I mean, that is a huge accomplishment on the part of Sony,
Right.
despite their odd marketing.
Wow, you gave
Um,
you gave a compliment to Sony. That's whew.
yeah, it's just it's a bizarre experience. I mean, I
Right.
have to give credit where credit is due. Um, I'm not going to start praising Sony moving forward because I know for a fact they'll continue to disappoint us in a number of ways. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here. You know, they did well enough.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of the movie, however, is different. But you know, this is another conversation for another day. So it's how I'll put it.
So I find that interesting that you I kind of don't want to give the praise, almost like you, right? They marketed it well, right? I think Sony's very good at doing things besides the content itself, which I mean, I feel like where Marvel Studios uses the content to drive their success, it seems like Sony's the opposite. Um, but Sony, whether you like it or not, they stick to their guns. Like they know what product they want to present to the fans, and they stick with it. Venom, for whether you like it or not, the first Venom was that comedy kind of bounce back between Venom and Eddie Brock, and they continue that in the second movie. So I think we're gonna kind of flip things a little bit. So it's right off the bat. What would you kind of give this rating? Like, what's your rating for Venom? I mean, I'll start it off. So we talked about this. Matt and I did on the way home, or walking out of the theater. Or I think on the way home too. Um, Venom was, for me, the least had the least amount of expectations out of any Marvel content I've ever watched. Right. So when you look at that, you look at it on two different scales. So like look at it as a speedometer that has miles per hour or kilometers per hour. They're two totally different things, but kind of the same, right? That's how I see it. They're like their own scales. So being that it's a Sony under expect, like I had no expectations going in, I give it like a 2.5, right? You flip it to the other side, it's probably one of the worst things I've ever watched. But uh, as far as plot line, it honestly, we'll get into the post credit scene and what kind of that has to do with the rest of the MCU and Marvel Studios. This movie was only made to make that happen. I mean, let's be real here. They knew that an interconnecting was going to happen, not just with Marvel Studios, but with the Spider-Man that currently exists within the live action Marvel, right? Sony was never going to give out those rights. Sony may have given uh some sort of like semi rights like they've been doing, right? But in the end they wanted their Spidey back. Like they're building their own universe. They specifically, I think they call it, what do they call it? The Sony
Sony's
Spidey's
Spider-Man character,
extended
they've
universe
renamed.
or something,
Yeah,
whatever they call it.
they rebranded their franchise.
The whole franchise. So they have essentially their own like universe that has to do with just Spider-Man, which is fine. Spider-Man has plenty of characters to do that with. But we all knew the end game, no pun intended, was to bring their Spidey back, right? Um, so I, I'm gonna give it literally a 1 out of 5 for overall, right? Like not even talking about the expectations or lack thereof, not even trying to be too hard on it. But the movie itself was just, I mean, it was a setup for Carnage, right? I didn't mind how what is his name that played Carnage? Oh my god.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrison did pretty well as the character. Uh, as far as what they wrote, I think he should have been a little darker, even, to be honest. And I think this movie itself, if it was rated R, probably would have been even better. Um, Carnage is called Carnage for a reason. Like he's literally a sadistic psycho, right? Like he's just a murderous psychopath. Like there's no other way around it. Um, and I just would have liked more. It just seemed like they limited themselves because they had one plan and one plan only, and that was to reach the post credit scene, which is, I guess, fine in a way. There were some funny moments for me. Like I enjoyed some of the banter between Venom and Eddie Brock. I did find this interesting too. So there are apparently mutants in Spider-Man's universe. So, or I'm sorry, Venom's universe. The non MCU universe. Uh, they literally said that a woman with mutations existed. So I'm wondering if that's kind of a foreshadow that maybe the mutants come into the MCU via multiverse. I'm almost thinking that's the only option. Like I just can't see mutants suddenly just popping up in the world, right? Um, or maybe so, because we have Scarlet Witch that showed she had some kind of mutation within her that was activated by the Mind Stone. So Matt, you want to go ahead and give your review and any thoughts you had on the Venom itself?
It's just it's a 1 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna bother sugarcoating it, but I think honestly, that was probably one of the greatest cinematic experience I had. So on that scale, is easily 5 out of 5. Um, just the sheer level of like incompetence the filmmakers and screenwriters show to these characters is just unparalleled. I'm actually astonished by what they were able to do here, and there are many moments in the movie where I generally had to struggle myself from laughing, not because of what I saw was funny, but because of what I saw was unintentionally funny. One scene in particular that stood out among the rest, and this is something I've been quoting since the day it released. There's a moment where Carnage literally says, "Let there be carnage," and that sent me like that literally like I had to hold in my laughter in that scene because it's meant to be dramatic and how we finally see the confrontation between these two characters being Venom and
Right,
Carnage.
right.
Hands down the most funny, like the funniest scene I've ever watched,
Mm-hmm,
period.
mm-hmm. Not
But this
even intended to
movie,
be.
yeah, but this movie is a piece of shit. Like I'm not gonna, the for lack of a better word, maybe the allergies to acting out, so maybe I'm a bit more. uh I'm not as passive as I am, say, other movies, other projects, etc. But no, like there's no way around it. I view this as Eternals is not getting delayed, and No Way Home will no longer be delayed.
Right.
Was my main motivation going into this movie. And I was looking forward to the post credit scene. I guess we can jump into that because that seems to be the talk of the town
Yeah,
amongst the community.
I just wanted to get into one more thing that I will say real quick as far as Venom. You made me think of this. The plot itself was literally just shit thrown on a wall, right? Like it just they just said whatever, just throw some carnage out there and make it fun. I don't mind the graphics, right? As far as both, I thought Carnage looked great. I think Venom looks great in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I think the fight
they're
scenes
fine.
are good. I don't mind them as far as the symbiote, like how they fight amongst each other. Um,
It's very weird looking, and I think in large part that's due to the poor visual effects because the third act was just CGI monster fighting a CGI monster, and I understand
that's
the
just what
common
it has to
complaints of
be,
this movie
right?
are going to say, oh, well, how on earth can you possibly do symbiotes without the use of visual effects? It's like, yeah, it's true, but you can make it look convincing. It's just
Right,
nothing there,
right. Oh, they kind of just
But
blew it out the water
yeah,
and I mean just kind of threw it. Like I said, kind of threw
yeah.
shit on the wall. But
And obviously I'll go more. I guess I can go more in depth now if you don't mind. But I think Carnage's character was him simping over Shriek. Venom and Eddie have this dysfunctional marital relationship. They separate for like it was ultimately 25 minutes because this is an hour and 30 long minute movie. They reunite later, and then Venom's mad at Eddie for angering him and makes him want to apologize. He apologizes, and then they fight Venom or Carnage. Like that's the plot of the movie.
right.
Like that's it. That's literally all you need to know.
It was just
And
the battle of conflicting sides and Venom and Eddie and you know it, it's the same thing happened. Like his ex girlfriend becomes Lady Venom and then transfers it to him again. Like that happened in the first movie. Like we need to see this over and over again. I don't know. Like some of the things were just seemed repetitive, just seemed inconsistent at times. But like I said, it was a fun movie just to watch, right? Like yeah, I always look at it as like the X-Men movies for me. And you're not a fan of almost any of them, but I'm a fan. I'm just like a fan of like superhero movies. Like as long as they're decent, at least visually to watch, like I'm good. So that's what it was to me. It was just something to watch. I'm not going to rate it high based on plot and those other things and character development because there's none almost at all. Um, but it was a fun watch. I'll put it that way. It was a fun watch. It was something to do.
yeah,
Um, and
um,
we move on. But I know you wanted to get into the post credit scene, so get up in that.
yeah. Actually, you know what? I'll have you take the post credit scene because you just reminded me of something that I wanted
Oh, go ahead. You can drop
to
that
touch
down.
on as well.
Go touch
But
on away.
what I wanted to say was Naomi Harris probably gave one of, if not the worst performances of her career. Her voice was so weird. She kept speaking like this the entire like that's literally what her voice sounded like the entire
Right.
like why just talk normally?
Right.
Like you're there for a paycheck. There's no way you read the script and said, "Oh, this is definitely going to propel my career as an action star." No, you accepted $1 million, $1 million+ so working alongside Woody Harrelson for 3 days. You finished, and then you went on to go do your other projects. Like, I'm sorry, Naomi Harris. Like, bless
Right.
you. You're obviously, I think she was even nominated for an Academy Award for a performance in Moonlight. But my God, you were terrible in this movie. Woody Harrelson was really bad in this movie, and I think in large part that's just because he had nothing to work with. The script wasn't benefiting him. I think Hardy was the only actor who knew what to do with the script. Like, and here's what I'll say: Hardy talking to himself is entertaining because he knows how to do it. Like Hardy, like we can watch an hour and 40 minute of Hardy doing that, and we can be entertained,
Right.
despite the awfulness of the movie. But it feels like Woody Harrelson, Naomi Harris, as well as a fair share of the other actors, just don't necessarily know how to do that because they're not familiar with these kinds of films, and so they think reinventing themselves is necessary when you can just do the same old you've done for the past 15 plus years of your career, and I think you'll be fine.
Right.
That's why Michelle Williams is like one of the like better actresses in the movie because she has nothing to do. She just reads her lines, she delivers her lines, and then it's done. Like she's not doing anything remotely creative with her performance. Like there's nothing she has to do. Naomi Harris, you literally just had to look at Michelle Williams and to say, listen, like I guess what I'm trying to say is that don't overthink it. Just read your lines, deliver them, and you'll be fine. Like you don't have to go overboard with it and try to get so in depth with the character because you have
Right.
nothing to work with.
Right.
It's just so unbelievably stupid. It's unbelievably stupid that you even accept the movie to begin with. Like it's just ridiculous. That's all I have to say. It's just honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. We're harsh on it, but I just the expectations were so low. I can't really be mad. Like it definitely was bad, but I knew it was going to be bad. So what can you
Oh,
really do?
absolutely. Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely
mean?
right. Like I wasn't, expecting a masterful sequel, but
Right.
obviously there's more we can go into about the movie. The ad libbing in the beginning was so painfully noticeable. They had these younger actors. Like I really thought they were trying to like mimic Woody Harrelson's voice as well as Naomi Harris's voice, but
Right.
turns out they probably like Woody and Naomi probably recorded lines of dialogue in the studio, and then they just like had the actors just like ad lib it
Right.
without
That's what it
saying
seemed like.
anything, which is
Absolutely.
really it was just really weird. I don't know why. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm sorry. This is kind of like
No, you're good.
the
It's just
opportunity to rant about it, but I guess I'm not sure if you view this as positive or negative. We'll see, but that's why I kind of want to put this on you to answer. What are your thoughts on the well? First, obviously, you can explain the post credit scene, but what were your thoughts on it as a whole?
yeah. So obviously the post credit scene, it was Venom and Eddie Brock. They went on vacation and they're watching a movie, and Venom suddenly starts to talk about how symbiotes have this ability to kind of see throughout the universe, right? They have like multiversal capabilities, which is kind of which is true within the comics. I did find out. I thought they just said like added that kind of retconned Venom in a way, just to add that just to get to the purpose of being in the Marvel Studios MCU. But they did not. So that's actually something they can do, and they have the ability to do so. Um, so when he explains this to Eddie, he's like, "I'm going to show you now." So he starts to show him in a way, and the room just completely shifts. Like everything turns different. It seems like he's in a different country, a different room for sure. It's somebody else's room from what he was in the hotel with Venom, and so for Venom's in the freaking MCU now, bro. Like they showed in obviously in the TV screen, they Spider-Man Far From Home, they had the Peter Parker's a murderer news thing, uh what do you call it, news show or whatever, and Venom looks at him and looks at the TV and says, I want to eat him. So Venom is now officially MCU. uh God, kind of just thrown out there. Expected. We all knew some way, somehow they wanted to get included. We've talked about it for years. Kevin Feige never allowed them to say they were MCU, but now we can all agree that this is the case. Um, One thing I wanted to ask you though, so Venom, it seems like Venom went through like some kind of similar thing that Doctor Strange went through when doing a spell for Peter, right? Like
Yeah.
some kind of like internal battle or force kind of made Venom go into the MCU based on what he was doing. Do we still think this is the nexus of the I'm sorry, the killing of Kang?
I'm not sure.
There's
I
got to be
honestly
some
don't even
connection.
think I don't even think they answer. Like honestly, I don't even think Sony has an answer. To be
I
honest,
wouldn't doubt it.
it's probably within the context of Doctor Strange casting the spell. So I
Right.
think it's the next event, and then actually that's something I'm gonna ask you about because I was I made a comment over on Instagram page that I might have been incorrect. Like I think in the replies people were somewhat agreeing with me, but I feel like they were explaining it differently than what I said. So,
Right.
anyways, I'll ask you the question after.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it's just like it's definitely the Nexus event caused Doctor Strange to miscast the spell. That
Right.
sends in a bunch of different Spider-Man villains, and obviously the two Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield and Toby. So, I hated the post-credit scene, and this is why. So, a while back, and of course, the viewers wouldn't know about this until now, but me and you had a conversation about how we both saw the post credit, or you almost saw the post credit scene, and that I saw the post credit scene for No Way Home. And I can already I can say this now. Obviously,
Right.
I saw that Andrew Garfield was in the movie, so that's
And
why I was excited
and what?
in Venom 2.
How did you see
So
he
the
was
so the leak that I saw was Garfield in the movie.
really?
Yeah, but that turned out to be false. So that's why I was irritated by it because I thought it was an opportunity for us to see
Yeah, but
Garfield
I mean that's why I tell you to
again.
stop looking at leaks.
Oh no, no, but that was on TikTok. You remember that was on
Yeah, no.
TikTok?
Right, right,
Like I
right,
wasn't looking for it. I
right.
accidentally
It just
saw like
happened to pop up.
I
Right,
saw an image and I scrolled through fast. 'Cause I
right,
didn't want to see that.
right.
So in my mind, that was the post credit scene
But oh yeah,
theoretically
I
because
see
I
what you're
didn't
saying.
think because
I
I
got you.
didn't think you understand like Garfield isn't popping up halfway through the movie for whatever reason. Like it'd be a
Right,
post credit scene like that'd
right.
be the main reveal. And it wasn't. And turns out Venom's. That's why you. I'm not sure if you heard over her. I was like, oh, you have to be kidding me. And all you see is Holland on the screen. And it's just like, here's the thing. I'm gonna just you can agree or disagree, but their tones don't match. Like Holland Spider-Man, while obviously set in the MCU is relatively lighthearted, Venom is way too goofy for Holland Spider-Man. That's why I was thinking, listen, at that point, Garfield's universe is also goofy. If you look at Amazing Spider-Man 2, Rhino and Electro are prime examples. Venom's characteristics, at least within the context of Sony's universe, works mends perfectly with Garfield. Another thing is too, Holland is getting clapped by Hardy's Venom. That is a fact. If he doesn't have any assistance from Avengers or has these like technologically based suits, Holland is getting destroyed
Right.
until they have to team up against the symbiote, which would probably be the case. Um, that'll be Venom 3 probably. So that's sort of where my mind is. And I don't want to hate the post credit scene because of what I wanted it to be, but looking at it individually, it's more so that like I'm not a huge fan of the tonal difference between both of these characters. And Venom is meant to be very dark and sinister in the comics, and it's just not the case. I think in many ways it's making me want to buy some graphic novels of Venom just to see how differently he is compared to um, Sony's universe.
Right.
But like the movie could have benefited from an R rating. See Carnage ripping limb for limb all these different people. I mean, there's so much missed potential. And it was inevitable. Venom was going to pop up in the MCU. Sony wanted it. They're looking to capitalize off of the success of the MCU, and this was their opportunity, and they did it.
Right.
They did it. So
Right. Well, definitely.
there's nothing. I paid for like, or I paid, but we paid for their success ultimately. So we can, I don't want to complain and say, oh, why is Sony doing this? They're doing it because of us. You know,
Right.
we pay to see the movie, and they look at the success and think, "Oh, wow, this is working out. We'll just keep doing what we're doing." We vote with our wallet. That's sort of that's the philosophy I live by, and you know, it is what it is what I'll say. But that's everything.
So, I mean, I'm kind of with you. Um, eh, Again, I just think it was a forced thing. Um, we'll see. Uh, I'm I don't know. I don't know. Well, is this to help the MCU bring in the Sonyverse, or is this just to have the Sonyverse happy and they can do whatever the hell they want as long as they say they're in a different universe, right?
I
We're
think
gonna
it's
see.
more so.
I think
Um,
Marvel wants to keep Spider-Man's rights, and they just did whatever the hell Sony wanted.
yeah, that's probably it.
That's
I
probably
think,
what they want. I mean, like you said, when at least in a private conversation, you
yeah,
thought that, um, and I agree with this, that we're gonna get another trilogy with Tom Holland, right? We're gonna get
yeah, that's happening. And
college
then,
Spidey.
you know,
So,
literally after, sorry not to interrupt you, but after we had that conversation, I go online and I think it was like Danny RPK, I believe, confirmed this. He said Venom 3 and Spider-Man 4 are already in development.
oh,
Like the day after we watched Venom 2, I was like, oh,
that
this is
makes
unsurprising.
a
This is
lot of sense.
unsurprising. Like I'm not.
Maybe Spider-Man 4. I guess I don't know how they're gonna do it, but Spider-Man 4 in this case, maybe that's the Venom movie. Who knows?
I think it'd probably be Venom. My prediction is who we already have Vulture. They have Scorpion. Remember Scorpion, played by
I really think Venom is gonna be in for No Way Home, bro.
he's gonna be he it will be a post credit scene instead of Venom 3.
I
He
guess.
won't be Sinister Six. I already know the 100% because Data RPK is not the most reliable scooper or leaker, whatever you want to refer to him as. He's very reliable in terms of trailer release dates. But the confirmed Sinister Six, Electro, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Sandman, Lizard, Rhino.
Gotcha. Okay.
They wouldn't do Venom so soon. I think
Yeah, that makes
because this
sense.
was you remember Andy
He made this pop
Circus.
up like you said in the post credits. I agree
Yeah,
with that.
because Andy Circus said this was done last, like essentially, like well after production.
Right.
So Venom probably they probably didn't even think about the significance of doing
I
Venom.
think Venom and Eddie are essentially gonna start to see they're not in their universe anymore. Right. Like that. He's not just gonna go find Spider-Man because he wants to find Spider-Man. He's gonna see what the hell's going on. He's gonna go back to San Francisco first to see why it's different. He's gonna say, "Well, I might as well go back to New York because since Venom wants to go there anyway." Like, there's gonna be a process. I think that's the explanation
I
they're gonna
hope
have.
so.
Like,
Yeah,
not there's 5 other bad guys probably that hate Spider-Man as much as I do. Let me go join them. I think they've
and
shown
that's
Venom is
yeah,
different than the typical
and
villain.
and that's
So
another issue I have too is that this Venom doesn't have a personal connection to Holland Spider-Man. So why would he care?
I think just the fact that he looked like him, the spider looks like Venom. Technically, I don't know.
You understand what I
It's
mean?
Sony, bro.
Like
I have
how
no
would
I have
you
no
know what I
answer
mean?
for
Like
that.
Venom's never had an interaction with a Spider-Man before, and unless he has knowledge of
That's why
he
maybe Garfield. He is in Garfield's universe. Who knows?
this anything's possible, but it's so odd. Sony didn't
We
think it
don't
through
actually know.
properly.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, we'll see. We'll watch No Way Home, and then Venom makes an appearance. I wouldn't be surprised. That'd be the
right,
post-credit scene.
right. Well, we'll see.
Um,
But all right.
that's where I stand.
Yeah,
That's where we
yeah.
stand.
Venom is what Venom is. You know what I mean? But look, I'm ready to get up into this Star Wars thing, baby. We haven't done this in a little bit, so let's do a quick little
Yeah.
review of Bad Batch. We're gonna
Okay.
get into Star Wars Visions. A couple things I wanted to say about it. You haven't watched it, so I think we can go more into detail after you do. But I'll give my quick review on that. We're gonna talk about the Book of Boba, and that's how that's coming out soon, and talk about Ewan McGregor's comments about the Kenobi series and how excited I am for that. And I'm sure you
Sure.
are too. So, first Bad Batch review. Overall, as a series, I'm just going to give my review. I've talked to you, individually about this. I am not a fan of the Bad Batch series, plot wise. So, like, it had some fun moments, a lot of great fight scenes and battles. It seemed repetitive sometimes too, though, which is my like kind of something I didn't like about it. It was like go to a planet, fight people on the planet, go away acting like we won. Like it was the same thing over and over again for me. It was kind of frustrating in my opinion. Um, I need to know if Omega is force sensitive. Like, is the purpose of this to show that she's the clone that helped essentially create Palpatine's clones? Right? Is she like the first example of a force sensitive clone? Is that why we're seeing this? Are we going to see her in The Mandalorian season 3? You know,
Yeah.
clearly this is a setup for Omega to be an impact in another series,
I
right?
mean, the ending of season one had there's a scientist who wore the same patch as Dr. Pershing from The Mandalorian. And if you recall, they wore like these Kaminoan badges, who obviously conducted the fair share of clone experiments
Right.
on Navarro and various other planets throughout the galaxy. So I imagine they'll come into play and hopefully have some explanation as to how a Palpatine clone came into existence. Um, I forgot how they explain Rey's heritage again. When I think about it, was she a Palpatine clone? Was that the
The
canon explanation? Was Rey a Palpatine clone? Because they'd have to explain that too.
no, I think she was
Or was she like the
like this
great,
the
or like her
daughter,
father?
granddaughter. I don't fucking know, man.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
whole mess.
Anyways, uh, yeah. So we'll see. The setup is cool, I guess. Quick rating, 2 out of 5. The show was incredibly repetitive, boring.
Right,
The story lacked any progression. The
right,
ending was anticlimactic, other than the interesting setup at the very end. Sid is arguably one of the worst characters in the show because we failed to move on beyond that point. Any interesting dynamic we have between the characters is oftentimes forgotten about. Echo went through zero development. Hunter remained the same. Omega was quite annoying in how the show was so afraid to not have her in a scene. Like the show, like it's as if like the screenwriter said, "Oh, we need an Omega scene," and they kept cutting back to like in the episode where they cut back to Sid and Omega winning um, this game. Focus on the plot at hand.
right.
You can, you like that's the thing too. Is what the Mandalorian did so well, and you can disagree or agree, but like the Mandalorian is one of, if not the least interesting characters in the show, undoubtedly.
Right.
The side characters will make the show, and they're not afraid to. You understand what I mean? Like everything we see is from the Mandalorian's perspective. Ultimately, he is the narrator, like the narrator
Right.
of the events of the story. So naturally, like the Sky characters having these massive reveals is the same way the Mandalorian would interpret them as well.
Right.
You know, it's surprising. It comes from a place of the unknown, and that's ultimately the ability of Star Wars. You know, there's so much unpredictability involved, and obviously, it's memorable for plenty of other reasons. But it's like this show doesn't know what it wants to concentrate on. Like the first episode was great. It was a solid premiere. You know, some rough pacing here and there, but other than that, you know, you think, oh wow, this is turning out to be, great. And then it just went through this sharp decline in quality. I was just like, I don't feel invested enough. Like I don't have the motivation to continue
No.
watching the show. And the show is not awful.
No.
I should preface that. I don't
Right.
think it's one. It's trust me. There's far worse Star Wars content that exists, but they need to do better. And honestly, I think for when it comes to Bad Batch season 2, I'm waiting until all episodes drop. I'm not waiting week after week if it's going to be
Yeah.
the same. If the season, if season 2 is going to be the exact same as season 1 in terms of plot progression
Right.
and any lack of character development, zero interest.
Yeah.
You
I'm
like
not.
you yeah, like other than Crosshair, you cannot say a single character went through anything substantial
100%.
other than
I'm
Omega in the first 3 episodes that she was done.
right. They clearly want her to be the focus. The why is to be seen, and I'm with you as far as the rating. Honestly, I give it a 1 out of 5. You gave it a 2. Um, it it lacked true direction to me. in the beginning, I thought, okay, it's a slow pace. They're gonna go things a certain way. Maybe not even too slow pace. I actually liked the way the pace it was at the time because I expected it to get better, have more development, have more plot development and character development. Um, but that just never happened. You know what I mean? And it was disappointing. I just don't know. I don't know where they're going with it. They're gonna bring a season two. We'll see where they do go with that. It may have relation to some of the other series that are coming here like in live action because they want to. I think they're trying to save some budget here, right? They don't want to put everything live action, so let's put some of it animated. Um,
Yeah, animation is the best way to go. This is a
and I'm
fantastic
okay. I'm
medium.
okay with animated. I don't mind it. Just like What If, depending on certain episodes you like or don't like, obviously. But if they feel like it's gonna help develop the overall universe, I'm all for it. But so far, it hasn't done that for me. It has just been
Yeah,
like, here's some content because we don't have any live action for you for 2 years. Like that's kind of what it felt like to me.
yeah,
And
which is unfortunate. The
we'll
show
see.
had immense potential.
It did, and it still does, and we'll see where it goes. But
Yeah,
honestly, not. I don't even need to know how the series is going to be as far as season two. I'm not watching it until all the episodes are posted. Like I can't wait week to week for a 30-minute episode of people just walking around. That's just not what I do. If I wanted to watch Lord of
I'm
the
telling you,
Rings, I would watch
yeah,
Lord of the Rings.
literally, that's the problem with these
Like
what if episodes too, bro. It's just these episodes are too short,
yeah.
and they're just not worthwhile.
No,
They're
it's
not
not something to
worthwhile
look
to sit
forward to
through.
every week. I mean, Marvel, I'm always going to probably watch every week, but as far as Star Wars, like I'm a diehard Star Wars fan too. Maybe as not much into the lore as anybody else or most people, I guess, that are into Star Wars. But I need more than what they've given. So
Yeah.
hopefully they get to that point. But yeah, 1 out of 5. Not too much of a fan of it.
Yeah,
And
I'm
hopefully
not
they do better.
even as much as I want to convince you otherwise. That's fine. Like I'm at a 2 out of 5 because they brought back Harris and Dula and Chopper from Star Wars Rebels, who
Right.
arguably had the two best episodes. They literally had an episode revolving around Harris and Dula and their family, and it was more compelling than any like than any other episode we had previously. I
Right.
mean, like Rex only appeared in what 2 episodes overall. They brought back those terrible twin characters from season 7 of the Clone Wars
Right.
for whatever reason. Like it's not as if they're going to greatly improve in character. They didn't change remotely from where we saw them in season 7 to the
Hmm.
present. Um, you had Wrecker, who you know you see his inhibitor ship. It's malfunctioning, and he obviously turns on the crew temporarily. But then
Right.
they resolve everything. Now, you understand how cool would have been if Wrecker ended up joining Crosshair?
Mm.
That would have
Yeah.
been sick.
Right.
That
Right.
would have been sick.
Have like the Bad Batch really turn bad, right? Like that'd be
Like
crazy.
that would be such an like. Could you imagine they ended the season as them turning to the Empire? That
Yeah.
would be really cool.
And Omega's kind
But
of
they
on
were
her own.
afraid to do that. They
Yeah.
were afraid
They're
to do
afraid
that.
for sure. And I think they got to be careful. And I've talked to you about this as far as any of the content that's coming out pre episode 4 and pre episode 7. They have to be careful, and it sucks. I feel like they need to just move on from the Skywalker era, right? And I know there's a
Yeah,
lot of content,
exactly.
and I'm saying go even further back than episode 1. Go way back. Let's go back to
Acolyte.
the Acolyte. The series is coming. The High Republic books, right? When Yoda was in his prime, and all those Jedi, great Jedi of past of the past. We either got to go way back, or we got to go way forward and be done with the Skywalker saga. There, not only because I'm just tired of seeing the same stuff because it's all related to the Skywalker saga, right? They're boxing themselves in. They can't really do much because they can't mess up the entirety of the plot they've already built. That's not fair to the creative writers, right?
Yeah.
And the argument is, well, they can do whatever they want because the universe is so big, and obviously Ahsoka's been around. Why didn't she help fight Vader? And so on and so forth. I get it. Blah blah blah. But I, I'm of the opinion that you are totally hiding the potential of your series by staying in that Skywalker saga, the Skywalker era. I don't want to say saga, the era of Skywalker as a whole.
Yeah. They need to stop being boxed in.
It's not
branch
fair.
away
It's
from
not fair
it.
to the writers. It's not fair to the
Yeah,
writers. It's not fair to the people that are playing the characters. It's not fair
yeah.
to anyone. It's not fair to us
Oh,
as fans.
oh yeah,
Because
yeah,
and honestly, like I'm mad at Bad Batch, but like, what else could they really done? And
yeah,
anything crazy they did would have totally fucked up episode 4, 5, and 6.
yeah. You
Like,
know what? But on the bright side, there's at least one show that's outside the Skywalker saga, and that's Star Wars Visions. And that was a nice little segue there.
oh,
Because I know you're in love with the show, and I know you want to actually speak positively about this franchise. So I haven't watched it.
so right. So
So give me your thoughts on how you
right.
viewed all the episodes, and if you think that's the kind of direction you want to see Star Wars take.
So
Pretty obvious you
I
do,
won't
but
go I won't go too deep as far as the content that was in each episode because I want you to watch it. Like you need to watch it. I'm telling everybody that's watching this episode now they need to watch Star Wars Visions. They're very short episodes, 15 to 20 minutes, if that. Some less, some more. Um, they not only was the content in each episode really interesting, it was the first Star Wars series that I feel like they were not boxed in. Literally not, right? Like this is non-canon. All of the anime studios that made these series, they were told full creativity. They used some pieces in ideas, right? They used like they mentioned the Empire, and they mentioned, some things were mentioned in relation to the existing Star Wars universe, but they were not boxed in because they were not stuck on Skywalker. They weren't stuck on Rey, Vader, or Palpatine, or Anakin, or even Kenobi. None of them were even mentioned, right? Like this is his own totally different thing. It was refreshing for me. Star Wars Visions was solo stories that just had a true purpose to show you about the Jedi heritage, about the culture of the Jedi, how strong the Sith can really be, and the balance and fight between that, right? Like in one episode, again, a little bit of a spoiler here, a Sith is actually a good guy in this, in one of the episodes, and you'll see that when you, Matt, when you go check it out, and if anybody else that's watching this checks it out, um it you see the what Star Wars can be if they're allowed to be creative and they're not boxed in. And I think they need to allow this for all of Star Wars studios. So I don't know what they call it. It's Star Wars. What do they call the studios? The Star Wars Studios, whatever the hell they call it.
uh, like Lucasfilm is that?
Lucas, I know Lucasfilms is the branch that they bought, but let's call it Lucasfilms for all intent and purposes. Uh, Lucasfilms needs the ability to do the same for all their series. They need to be able to do whatever they want, whenever they want, and that's why they need to either go way back or way forward and bring out some new interesting content. And that's not to say that the Kenobi series is going to be bad, which we're going to talk about that literally right now. The Book of Boba, like all of this stuff's in between this the movies, right? The trilogies. There's still good content. I just don't want writers and actors and actresses to be limited because I feel like they are. So uh watch Star Wars Visions. 5 out of 5 for every single episode. Series is great, no question. Super interesting. I hope they bring it back and bring in more stories. I want none of it to be connected. I don't need a extended universe. I want simple Star Wars stories. I even like them to be a little longer. I'd like these Visions episodes to be movies, right? I would love that. They're just super interesting, and it was just really cool to watch, and just totally dope. Um, Last two things I want to get into real quick. Uh, I mentioned the Book of Boba, but I did want to get into Kenobi real quick. Uh, Ewan McGregor is the former slash President Kenobi from the original trilogy and of Star Wars, and he mentioned that his series is going to be something different and something that the Star Wars as a whole has never seen yet. So for me, and I know we heard some rumors as to what's going to happen within the series. This kind of makes me excited. It's kind of related to the whole Star Wars Visions thing. I think they're going to go different with this series, right? Like, so I get it. I'm kind of contradicting myself in a way because I don't want like them to be boxed in, but I'm wondering if they're allowed to be a little more creative with this, and they're willing to risk the continuity. I'm okay with risking the continuity at this point because I want good content.
Um, I am concerned only because they can very easily ruin Darth Vader and Obi-Wan's reunion from A New Hope. Is I, the odds are stacked against them,
Oh, for sure.
and the the writers of this series are probably under immense pressure to make sure that this fits well within the continuity. Because ultimately Obi-Wan and Vader will reunite, right? And in canon, there has to be a reason as to how Kenobi discovers Darth Vader's true identity, right? So, I just depends. I think the dialogue we hear from A New Hope, where last time we saw each other, I was but the learner. Um, there's many ways you can interpret that. Did he mean was he a learner in the dark side of the Force, meaning he was still enhancing his being Vader's abilities, or did he mean the very day he left him on Mustafar? So we don't know. I think it will be the former,
Right.
because there has to be they're colliding. Like, is it possible for them not to?
Right.
We're definitely getting flashback scenes. Wouldn't be surprised there. Inquisitors are bound to show up at some
Right.
point. Live action Inquisitors, I might add.
Right.
Um, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what it has to offer.
Do you think we'll see Cal in this
Who?
from Jedi Fallen Order?
No, no,
God, I hope he
no.
shows up live action.
Monaghan would be too. Monaghan's too old. They have to cast a new actor. I think
Well,
Monaghan's what, 26, 28. Cal
well,
would be
Cal is how old
Cal's 14.
in Fallen Order?
In Far he's 14.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's 14. He's very young.
But he'd be 24 in Kenobi because it's 10 years after. Maybe 22.
Well, the time gap. I know it wasn't the time gap 5 years between Fallen Order and
Right. So it'd be
no.
another five. It's
He
10
was he was
years.
nine. He was 9 when his master died,
Kenobi's
right?
10 years after Mustafar.
Right.
Right.
So
So Cal would be
Fallen Order,
19
yeah. So
at this
Order
time.
Fallen Order has to be 4. I
Almost
think
20.
wasn't he was
He
9, right?
How old is
When
he? 26. He can play a 20-year-old. Cal can play a 20-year-old. Or whoever the guy that plays him.
maybe. I mean,
He could.
I depends.
I don't know. I just would like to see
Uh,
it. I want to see it in live action. So hopefully we do. Um, I think I just hope. Yeah, they got to tread lightly. I just want. I just hope it's a good series. I don't want it ruined. I want to
it
see
will be.
Kenobi so bad, live action. I'm more excited for Acolyte than anything. But let's get into this last series real quick. The Book of Boba. I wanted you to take the lead on this. What are your expectations? What do you think it's going to be about? Any correlation to the Mandalorian itself, the series, or Bad Batch in any way? What do you think?
Yeah, so I guess who I expect to appear, I think we're getting a live action Cad Bane
Oh, please do. Oh,
because he survived. Because I think Boba injuring Cad is canon. Because you remember in the deleted episode, the Bounty Hunter arc, where
right,
Boba and Cad have a duel together.
right,
That's technically canon, but they never had a chance to finish those episodes. They had a lot of Elijah's dialogue recorded, but they weren't able to fully animate it.
right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, we don't know how long cat species ages, so we just get a flashback to Boba defeating Cad,
Right.
presumably, and then
So you think
obviously
this
him
is going to
getting
be
his
some kind
iconic
of
gun.
like bounty hunter
It was going to
western-ish
be
thing?
basically a Kingpin show. Because you
Really?
remember, I mean, Boba is running
Job,
Tatooine, and I
job,
expect him to
Jabba.
come in
Right.
contact with Cobb Vanth. If you
Mm,
remember, Cobb Vanth was a
right.
really good character. Um, I'm excited. I hope we get Cobb Vanth in Rangers of the New Republic, or is that canceled because of Gina Carano?
Maybe.
Wasn't she the main character? Wasn't she supposed to be the main
I
character?
thought so. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
No, well, I mean
Yeah.
that,
So I mean I think I'm
that
with you.
that's what happens, you
A
know.
king right a kingpin series would be really dope. Um, it is coming this Christmas, so we got a lot of content coming the rest of this year, folks. Like we got all in that time frame, like Hawkeye, Book of Boba, and Spider Man. No Way Home. Like
Eternals as
all.
well.
And well, I'm saying that month,
Oh,
December.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, geez. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
You're
it's
right.
all the
You're right.
same. Like the end of the month, basically, it's all gonna be same time. So it's insane. Um, uh Eternals is coming. You did mention that though. So next month, hopefully tickets go on soon. We are
I think they
doing
are.
opening nights. No, some are. It's not
Oh, it's
the
like
full breakdown
certain
yet.
states.
Certain, yeah, I don't even know what it is. It's just not letting me buy tickets yet. But I will be
Yeah.
getting tickets, of course, for the opening night. And we'll be, of course, be doing a review. But yeah, any last words on anything Marvel or Star Wars related, Matt?
Um, I guess here's what I will say about Marvel. This may be controversial for some or not. Marvel is more focused on quantity rather than quality, and them releasing 30 plus projects in the next few years. I was tempted to say decade is not worthwhile. Spin-offs are not necessary. Actually, it's funny because we didn't get a chance to cover this guy. It's gonna mention it now. Agatha Harkness is apparently getting your own TV show. Monica Rambeau might be getting your own TV show. Shang-Chi's sister might be getting your own TV show.
That makes sense though. I'd rather have that
That's
than the second Shang-Chi.
yeah, that is acceptable. Acceptable.
Right.
Um, it's just Marvel needs to calm down. Calm down. You don't need to produce everything in the world because as a result, you'll get desperate and you'll just hire directors like that.
Yeah.
And when those directors are inexperienced, especially because of the lack of projects they worked on, or because they haven't worked on projects of this caliber before, you're bound to have a mess of a show. That's what happened with Elements of Loki. Kay Hiran, there are plenty of there is so much potential of what she can do. Like I can tell in the way she tried to, like for instance, like episode 4 of Loki, like that cool whirlwind shot, or episode 5, like the whirlwind shot where she like sort of did a full 360 with the camera. That was really cool. But you could tell there are many moments where she didn't necessarily know how to direct her actors and relied on she solely relied on them because she didn't necessarily know what I think in many ways she was probably afraid to tell Tom Hiddleston what he has to do. He's probably say, Tom, you just do your thing,
Right.
which is fine because he knows the character better than pretty much everyone you can think. Um, I don't know. I'm not hating on Kate here. Like I hope she has plenty of opportunities because I think she could very well be a phenomenal director moving forward, like
Right.
easily. I
Right.
mean, that's a very difficult feat. She did excellent in the episode 6 the finale, obviously, clearly. Um, it is. I'm a bit nervous there, but for now, I'll remain positive. So much content to look forward to from both Marvel and Star Wars, and this. No, they just didn't have to worry about producing content. There will always be an appetite. If Venom can have
Right.
an appetite, I think Marvel, even DC, and especially Star Wars will be fine.
Right.
You'll be
Yeah,
fine.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So I'll double down on that. I think I'm okay with the amount of content. I think your concern and mine as well is just to make sure that content's good content, right? Don't just do it to do it. Build the characters, build the plot, make it make sense for the extended universe, and go from there. So I'm 100% with you on that. My last words, I'm just excited for Eternals, man. It is something you and I both have been avoiding commercials, have been avoiding everything on social media. We want to come in there with no idea what the hell is going to happen and just enjoy the movie. It's going to be the
Yeah.
second longest movie in Marvel history behind Endgame, which is awesome.
What was it? 2
Um,
hours and 36 minutes. It was
37
37.
minutes. Yeah, 2 hours 37. So, um, I'm super excited for that. But as always, I'll drop Matt's social media. I think you forgot, but you can find Matt at Matt underscore TEE29 on Instagram, right? Matt
T
underscore TEE29
Yes, 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 yes.
on
29.
Instagram, and it's Taco Creator on YouTube. He is always on YouTube. So,
Yeah.
um,
You find my comment over on the official NFL page for the Bills versus Chiefs.
yes, yes, go Bills as always. We are big Buffalo Bills fans, and we will always be that. Of course, you can find me at John_OTS on all social media platforms. And there has been a change. Listen, people, there's been a change. So two things I want to go over: the change and another podcast coming tomorrow. First things first. OTS has now changed all of their social media handles and technically all their platforms to now OTS Media Co. So that's OTS MEDIACO. It's at OTS Media Co. Go to all of those social medias, drop a follow, go to youtube.com/OTS Media Co. and drop a subscribe. Every like counts, every watch counts, every share is even double that, right? You can listen to us, you can watch us on any of the social media platforms. We definitely appreciate it. Head over to Facebook group On the Sidelines, join the On the Sidelines group, and talk about all the stuff we talk about every day on our podcast. I'm getting over being sick myself. I know Matt's been dealing with allergies, so like I'm losing my voice. So sorry about that. And one last thing, we have an all new podcast coming out tomorrow. And I like to announce different podcasts, different episodes. And I've talked about the Past the Aux podcast where we have the verses and things like that. So one of our new podcasts coming tomorrow is All Nat. So it's ALLNAT. It's going to be on all of our social media platforms. That's including YouTube and all the places you listen to podcasts. Um, All Nat will be hosted by Nat. She is a bright basketball mind. She is ready to start her own podcast. She's been follow her on Twitter. She's been on a guest on the Sideline Guys before, as far as anything related to basketball. Huge impact and imprint on Twitter, and we're excited to have her on the OTS team, and excited to listen to her podcast starting tomorrow. That's tomorrow, Tuesday, October 12th. So welcome, Nat. Welcome to the team. We're happy to have you, and you just drop those follows on social media, people. We here. Listen, this is We Can Be Heroes. We're here whenever we possibly can for you guys. We appreciate every single view, listen, and everything you guys give us in between. We love you. Be safe, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.